Whoa. That's,
you there?
Yeah.
All right, guys, taking a breather. It's a little bit of a challenge. I can't use a post driver because of my neck. I have to just hit with a hammer. And I learned something working with the Mexicans. You can take a 3-pound maul and do more work with less energy than you can using a big heavy hammer. Because on a construction job one time, they were driving twice the amount of stakes that we were. We were using 10-pound mauls. They were using 3-pound hammers. And they were driving twice as many stakes in the ground as we was, and they weren't tired. And I had, you know me, I got to ask. And they said, well, a drop of water will eventually beat a hole through a rock, you know. You sit there and just tap it. And you don't wear yourself out, and it will go down. He said it will actually, they use the term of putting a vibrator on something, sitting there just brrr, just vibrating, it just goes down. So now I just use a little hammer. But what we got going on here is I set up my batter boards. This is a 20 by 20 high tunnel. Now, the 20 feet long-wise is accurate. 20 feet in width is inaccurate. You do not put your strings at 20 feet in width. I did that on one of mine before, and my poles ended up, I had to pull them in because the 20 feet, for what I'm finding out using these kits, the 20 foot is to the outside of this board. When you stand it up on here, it's to the outside of it on this side and the outside of it on that side. So it will actually be 19 feet 9 inches to the edge of this, to the edge of the one over yonder. And when you put your stabilizing board here, stand it up, that's 1.5 inches, and 1.5 inches over there makes 3 inches. That makes up the full 20 feet. Now what I did was I ordered 20-foot lumber. It's all treated. I do not use anything that's not treated. I came, because the poles go every 4 foot down through here, I laid the board down, I cut it to length, and I have it at the end of my pipe here. And at 4 foot, I put me a mark every 4 foot down it. And I took a torch and I burned a hole in the ground cover right there, so that I have somewhere to stick my pipe without it being in the plastic. And then I get up and I just drive the pipe down. Now what I did do, there's marks on the pipe. Right here is a magic marker I put on it. They recommend that these pipes be driven a certain depth into the soil. Well, what I did was, because my pad is level and my string is roughly about 6 inches above the ground, I want it to be just a little higher. My board's 5.5. I want it to be a little bit higher than the board so I can stand it up and not hit the string. I added 6 inches to the depth that they required you drive it in the ground, and I put a black magic mark around it. And so now, because all my strings are pulled level, all I have to do is drive these down to where that mark is on the string. And when I get through, the tops of every one of my pipes will be level. And I don't have to worry about trying to level up the tops of my pipes around through here, or going through here, cutting them off. Now, I thought I was going to cut one off a while ago, because I started driving it, and I hit a root about that big around. Luckily, my Sawzall blade would reach down in the ground that deep, and I was able to cut that root and get it out of the ground where I could drive it on down. But I was panicking there for a moment, because that was the very first one I drove. And I'm glad it was the first one when I wasn't wore out. But we're going to drive all these down this side, and then we'll move the board, not this board, we'll get another board and lay over yonder. Now these are our purlins. There'll be 3 purlins on each side. There will be this one, and then I will put one at 3 feet high, and then I will put one at the very top. The reason I put the one at 3 feet high is lots of times I order a screen to go around the bottom of this, in a 3-foot roll. It's 1/8 inch hardware cloth is what it actually is. It's not screen, it's actually hardware cloth. And I put that on there because lots of times I can let the top down to that 3-foot mark, and then air can still flow through it, but insects cannot get in it. But now, I plan on this one because I get 3 feet, there will still be another 4 foot left up here. I'm going to buy a roll of 4-foot hardware cloth 1/8 inch. That way I can leave this one rolled all the way up, and I'll have hardware cloth around the whole thing where air can pass through it in the summertime, and we can keep the insects out of it. We have been watching some videos from a subscriber of ours who owns a really big citrus operation, which just, guys, this operation blows my mind. I mean, because their greenhouses, high tunnels, whatever you want to call them, when they actually have a, I'm going to call it a decompression chamber. They have a door you walk into, and they hold a dollar bill up, and they said that they have a negative or a positive airflow in that building, whichever one it was. When they hold a dollar bill up and open the door, if that dollar bill don't blow out, then something's wrong. They want it where if a little tiny insect tries to fly in, he can't. So, and then they have to go through a spray down area to be decontaminated, and then go into a packaging room, and then from there they go through another sealed off door to go into the greenhouses. And guys, we're talking thousands of citrus trees, any kind your mind can comprehend, and they look immaculate. So after watching and listening to the things that they talked about, I'm realizing just how important it is to keep your citrus trees healthy. I was thinking about doing some pruning and stuff like that, and I learned from watching their videos, if you do this, you're going to mess your trees up. So we'll talk about that later in another video, but right now we're going to continue to drive these stakes on down through here as long as my arms will let me and my neck. And I may have to do one side a day, the other side another day. I don't know just yet, but we're going to do what we can do today. And I think you kind of get the grasp, the concept of what I'm talking about building. The batter boards are standard. You just put them up, pull a cross measurement, you know, get it square, and use the measurements I told you. 20 feet length, 19.9 sideways. By the time you add your purlins on each side, it makes it 20 feet. So then you get a 20 by 20. And be sure when you're putting these up, you plumb them as you go. You know, I hold a level up top. I don't put the level down here because that's going to go in the ground. I hold it up here, and as I drive it, I'll stop every so often and see, do I need to pull pressure this way? Do I need to pull pressure that way? Because, man, look, they're pretty sturdy, you know, when you get through. And then by the time, if they're off just a little bit, you don't really worry that much about it, because what you're going to do is these purlins have the marks on them, and you'll, when you put your, I call them EMT clamps, when you put them on here and you pick your board up, you can pull it to the mark and screw it off, and you can actually straighten your building up within reason anyway. Do it that way. A little bit that way. Okay. Where we at on the string?
One more time. That's it. That's it. That's how you put up a bow by yourself.
Then you have to come in and pull them. That's it.
Who needs weights, huh?
Yeah.
Work on a homestead. Put up a high tunnel. Well, that's up.
That's simple.
The bows are up.
Okay guys, before you put your purlins on, there's different types of straps. This is a special made one. It's flat here, comes around, and this one's made so that when your board comes up on its end like this, it goes around the end of it like that right there, and you can put screws into the end of your board right here. These are regular, we call them EMT straps. They're called 2-hole straps. You put a Tech screw in it right here. This is where my board will come to the top of it right here. I drop down just a little bit, put the Tech screw in to hold this in place, so when I stand it up I can put my screws in here into the lumber. And then I'll come back and I'm going to drill and put a 1/4-inch bolt, galvanized bolt through that carriage bolt. You don't have to do that. I just do it because we're in a hurricane zone and I like all the protection that I can get.
And
now,
you put all these on ahead of time.
Yes.
So you don't have to sit there individually doing each one.
Yeah, you go ahead and put them on all ahead of time. That way when you pick your board up and put it in place, all you got to do is come down through there and screw it. You're not trying to hold the clamp and screw the board and hold it all at the same time. But let me say this. The screws that come in the kit from Grower Solution, if you're using treated lumber, do not use them, because they're just drywall screws and the treated lumber will eat them up and they'll just fall off, you know. So what you want to do is get you 1.5 inch, just 1.5 inch deck screws like this right here, exterior. These are deck screws. They're treated so that the treated wood does not eat them up. That's just a little tidbit because nobody ever talks about that. Everybody always just puts plain old pine boards up here, and these things sweat so bad.
We're in a place that sweats.
Yeah, the water will just run down on them, the rain will get on them, and over time they'll just rot. So you have, you know, it's best to use treated material to do it with, especially if you're down around the ground down here. If you don't want termites in it or something, just make sure you use deck screws and not the little drywall screws they send.
Can't lay nothing down. We have a nuisance dog. Picks everything up.
Picks everything up and runs with it. She'll probably be trying to use my drill here in a minute.
If she knew how, she would. She's done grabbed. Look at her trying. No, Lucy.
I gotta have 2 screws with this one.
Okay, you're going to have to get the other one. I'm having to tote the bag because you done toted one bag off.
You're a bad dog, you know that? You're a bad dog. You're a bad influence.
Hey. Just go mess your stuff up.
Let me add also, anytime you're putting these Tech screws in, make sure you do not put one anywhere the plastic is going to be touching anything. Because if you do and you go to put your plastic on, it'll tear a hole in it. All your screws always go on the inside. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, you want to always go ahead and put your 2-hole straps up ahead of time so that when you pick your lumber up like we have here, this lumber is marked every 4 foot. It's cut exactly 20 feet long. Every 4 foot has a mark on it. And when we pick it up, we will screw this end and the other end, and then we'll come back and we will pull the poles to the mark where it needs to be at and put the screws in it. And that way it's all leveled in like it needs to be. This is going to be rather difficult.
Probably.
I got to pick the board up.
Whoa.
No, I gotta have. all of this.
Alright, let me get my hand on this. Better not be toddling around. Does it go to the top or middle or what?
Just to the top of that pipe.
Okay.
Well, don't push it. Hold it. Let it come to me.
Okay.
I'm the one that's gonna. These ain't magnetized screws. Oh, I've dropped one already. Because I'm trying to hold the board, hold the drill.
You know me and my hands. Hurry.
I can only do so much so fast.
I got it in my hand. I don't want to drop.
So you're above the pipe. You gotta come down. Up.
I don't know where you want it.
It's gotta be flush. This has gotta be fitted in.
I'll just hold.
I will.
Alright, this goes on the other side.
Actually, let me have that ladder. It's easier to move that one than it is my big one.
Give it some stability. Has that got it?
Let me see if I can help you. Okay. Guys, the end takes two 3-inch screws. I don't even know how that ladder's gonna go there. Again, I said I'd like to try to do it with the tractor if there's any way possible.
Right.
Help me put this board over there.
Lucy?
Nope, mine does. You gotta back down the hill right down there.
Well, it would make sense because I'm having.
If I go down level, that means we got to lift it that much higher.
Well, I meant to keep it. We're having to flip it up.
Hang on. I just got to make sure I got 5.5 inches to the top of that pipe.
Whoa. I don't want to.
Grab it.
You want me to sit and hold it when you do this?
Just pull it up to the pipe. So I got to know when I'm.
Right there. Alright, it's good. You may have to go a little bit your way.
We'll take a couple with me.
Take 7. This will not be easy because it's tractor.
This is also a heavier board. That's why I chose it for this side. So I said if I can get that tractor up there, then.
Lucy, not yours.
No.
Not yours. No. You play with your tail. What's your tail? Oh, Lord, dog.
All right. What that comes to me, it's not.
Probably does.
Yeah, hold. We can just stay right there. Let me. I got it.
Is this what you're putting in each one of them? This bucket?
Yeah.
Let me push on, pull on the pole. I gotta be putting stuff on my.
All right, guys, one thing I want to mention about when you put the screws in the 2-hole straps, do not put them straight in because they're 1.5-inch screws. The board is 1.5 inches thick, and if you happen to go a little deep in the board, the points will come out on the other side. Anytime you put them in, stick them in inward like this, a little bit of an angle. That way you don't have to worry about the tips of your screw points coming out on the other side of the board where it'll tear the plastic.